We've been joined now by UKIP's leader, Malcolm Pearson. Welcome to the Daily Politics. I mean, first of all, your main thrust of your campaign is to pull out of the EU. But with the main parties focusing very much on the economy, is this the right time to do something like that, which could destabilise the economy?
Well, we say that you can't really solve the problems of the economy, or indeed immigration, which I think is the other main issue in this election, if you stay in the European Union. And it is absolutely the moment to concentrate on pulling out of the EU when you consider its massive cost.
How much would the country save, as far as you're concerned, by pulling out of the EU?
Well, the most authoritative estimate we have of that comes from the Taxpayers' Alliance, which puts the cost of our overall membership of the European Union, that's including the European Commission's own figure for over-regulation at 6% of GDP. The overall cost has been estimated at £120 billion a year. Now, I'm not saying we withdraw from the treaties of Rome and save that money immediately, but over a period of time. That is the sort of magnitude we're talking about.
But you already said this morning at your launch that you want to cut national insurance, cut taxes in general, create new grammar schools, double the number of prison places, spend 40% more than is currently spent on defence, free eye and dental care. That sounds very expensive, a lot more than you are going to save in certainly the first year of coming out of the EU.
Yes,
how will you pay for that?
None of this happens overnight. We also are impressed by the estimate from the Institute of Directors and the Taxpayers' Alliance, which have produced a report saying how to save $50 billion, and that can come off very quickly.
How long would you take to actually save $50 billion?
The $50 billion, if you look at that, I think can come off. It isn't cuts. I mean, it's just not carrying out massive waste in the quangocracy and in the civil service and all that. So that could be done in a year, the $50 billion.
But bear in mind the main parties have been squabbling about taking £6 billion out of the economy. You say that you could find £50 billion without frontline cuts within the next 6 to 9 months.
I mean, that is a measure of how out of touch the failed old parties, as we now call them, are. They have been arguing actually about half of that. I think they've been arguing about half the national insurance increase. And so they've been squabbling about $3 billion. But we really must look at what a predicament we're in. The government is spending $700 billion a year. The tax take is $540. Now, that leaves a deficit every year of £160 billion a year. It's not much point in talking about $3 billion. And by 2013, the accumulated deficit, which is the national debt, will amount to 1.4. Sorry, I get mixed up with my...
1.4 trillion.
1.4 trillion.
Right. I mean, these are very big figures to talk about.
Yeah, but we've got to talk about them because the public don't understand them at the moment.
Well, and obviously you are, aiming your fire at the two other main parties.
Failed.
Well, but then why are you not standing against 6 Conservative candidates and 1 Labour candidate? You say you're not going to because they're Eurosceptic. But surely if you have your manifesto and you believe so strongly that they're failed parties, how can you allow these candidates to be returned?
Well, not only are we going to allow, we're going to actively campaign for them and try and get them in.
But what does that say to the electorate there?
Well, what it says to the electorate is that UKIP is putting its country before its party. And under the proportional representation system in the European elections, we actually came second. We beat the government of the day, we beat the Liberal Democrats. So under a more reasonable system of election, we did very well. Under the present absurd system of first...
You're going to be lucky to get a seat?
Well, I'm not... No. We'll get several seats, I hope. I'm not going to I'm not going to be drawn on. I hope so. Of course I do. We're fielding 500 candidates. But the seats you mention, these are people who, if we stand, they won't get in. And I don't want to do that. I want these people...
You said it would be a disaster if the Tories, you said, came back to govern, and this would help...
It is not an exact science. And if my policy of fighting to get half a dozen Tories and Labour, and there may be more coming, if that results in David Cameron then getting the working majority he needs for 5 years, and then no referendum, and then we're really... it's the end of this country, because after 5 more years of integration, that's the end. So then the strategy will have failed. Yes, I want to hung Parliament.
You want to hung Parliament?
Because out of that we will get a system of proportional representation, but the big prize for us is the system of binding referendums at national and local level that they have in Switzerland. That's the only way, really, to reconnect the British people with their democracy.
Lord Pearson, thank you.
Thank you.